Yeah, let us know. Oh, we're live.
We're live.
McKenna, welcome back to Tuesday Tactics. I think this is episode 3.
3, yep.
Episode
3
3.
weeks.
And today we're talking about email automations, specifically from the point of view of a retail shop owner. So you have a brick and mortar shop, you collect emails, but maybe you also have an online store and you want to use email automations to free up your time, give yourself more time to focus on your business instead of in your business. And so that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah.
McKenna, did you want to talk quickly about exactly what automations are and what they do?
Yeah. So automations, they can kind of be called different things depending on what platform you're using. They might be called like sequencing or workflows, but basically they're just emails you set up one time with a specific trigger for when to send them, and then they automatically go. So for example, it could be as soon as someone is added to your email list, they start getting emails from you. You can schedule them out however far you want, however many you want in a series. It could just be one. It could be 10 if you wanted to. That'd be a lot. But they're just things that happen automatically. So it's really nice. You set it up one time and it just starts going.
Yeah, a lot of work at the front end.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice part here with automations, as McKenna mentioned, is it in a lot of ways it's set it and forget it. So once you have put in the hard work of building the automation the way you want to run, it will run for eternity and do a really good job of bringing your customers either back or accomplishing whatever campaign objective you're trying to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump into our second agenda item, which is some of the advantages and disadvantages of automations. Maybe I'll start with some of the advantages.
Yeah.
I mentioned one of them, which was certainly getting some time back. Think about the email campaigns that you've seen from brands that maybe send weekly emails. The advantage here, of course, is that they are weekly and they're timely. The disadvantage for somebody who's managing a weekly email is every single week that becomes a to-do list on their task list. So that's taking away from something else that they might be able to do, where as an automation, if they set that up to send weekly or even monthly to their client list, or if you're a retail shop owner to people who have purchased in the past, once you set up that automation, your time you have a lot of time back. Now, some of the other advantages, you certainly get a few more decision points a day. If you're a believer in the number of decision points a day is limited, which email to send is not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then also from a sales perspective, this works if you manage a retail store and also an e-commerce store. You're constantly getting in front of your different customers, whether they're new customers or returning customers. It's a great way to get customers to come back to your shop. And also from just like a B2B standpoint, or if you're in sort of a SaaS sales role, or if you're in any sort of sales role, somebody who submits a lead on your website, you might be able to, immediately respond to them through an automation that sounds like you, that sounds really personalized and is really simple. And if that person is interested in booking a demo with you or learning more, they can reply to that email. Then and only then does it land in your inbox, which is really nice. McKenna, do you want to touch on any of the disadvantages?
Yeah, I think one thing that can happen, which is the benefit, is you can turn it on and forget about it, which is great. But sometimes you really do just completely forget about it. And it can be happening with outdated content. Maybe your coupon code expired that you put into your automation. So it's definitely something that you want to check in on and make sure it's just up to date with current information. Another thing is that if you set them up, you just want to be really careful not to be too spammy. So providing content that is valuable to your customers, as well as frequencies that aren't overwhelming their inbox is important. So that's just something on the front end to make sure to avoid. And then another thing can be if you're sending emails with a first name in them, just making sure you have correct data, because you really don't want to send an email that's missing a space for a first name or has a wrong name.
Yeah, or it's like first name, middle name, last name, and you're saying, "Hello, Kyle Joseph Puckett."
Yeah.
Clearly automated. So avoid this email is clearly automated signal. We've all been spammed before with one email after another for an entire week, and you just want to scream at your computer. But then I'm sure we've also been delighted by a brand that we love and follow that sends us timely and really personalized emails to the stuff that we love. So it can swing both ways for sure, from in terms of like a double-edged sword. One of the things you mentioned too was, what was the first thing you mentioned as a disadvantage?
Outdated content.
Yeah, I see that also as a double-edged sword. The huge advantage of this is if you have videos, podcasts, blogs that you've produced, email automations are such a great way to get those to your audience in a way that you don't have to schedule, like we talked about, and set up weekly. But if those videos are outdated and you haven't updated your email automations in a while, that's when it can be not a great look for your brand.
Yeah, it just definitely, you can tell it's an automation at that point, and that's what you want to avoid. So
Totally. Well, should we share a screen, McKenna, and jump right into, we're going to use Mailchimp, the Mailchimp dashboard as an example, but this is applicable if you're using HubSpot CRM, if you're using Constant Contact, Infusionsoft. There's a lot of different email softwares to use, but most of them do have automated campaigns, and we're familiar with setting up automated campaigns in most platforms other than Salesforce, because I think Salesforce needs a full-time employee just to log in to Salesforce.
Yeah, well, we primarily use Mailchimp, and they make it really easy for us.
Yeah.
So when you go to create your campaign on the top here, just go to automated, and they have a ton of options for you, just depending on your site. So if you have an online store, there's a lot of e-commerce options. Abandoned cart is a really popular one. I'm sure you've seen 100 times from places.
Yeah, these just seem like, abandoned cart specifically is one that if you're not using that one and you have an e-commerce store, it's a huge opportunity being missed, and low-hanging fruit that you can quickly set up with most e-commerce software.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Thanking your first-time customers, and also just thanking them, like the follow-up on purchase. Anytime someone buys something from your store, sending a quick thank you email, maybe with a couple extra products in there that they might be interested in. That's something really easy to set up one time, and then that just goes anytime someone's purchasing from your site. So,
yeah, good data in and good data out. So you want to make sure that your email software is directly integrated with your e-commerce store. If you do something like, I only want to target first-time shoppers to say, hey, welcome to our store. We're glad you decided to make a purchase. They might scratch their head and say, well, I've purchased 20 times before. And I'm like the shop owner's daughter, so
yeah.
This is silly. So just be mindful of that. But that's just a note about good data in, good data out.
Yeah. And this is another thing to note, like you can get very specific if you are very thorough with collecting information from your customers. Sending birthday emails is great. Like I feel like a lot of ice cream places do that. You get a free scoop on your birthday.
Interesting. Yeah, but you need to ask for it, right? At some
yes.
point, you have to have that info in your e-commerce or email software.
Right. So today we're going to do just a welcome campaign. And so you can choose between single, but we'll do a series on this one, an onboarding series.
Yeah, and basically the difference there is, are you sending one email that says, hey, welcome, and then they never hear from you again, or are you going to set up a sequence or a series of emails that send over the course of, we usually like to start at 6 months and send maybe 2 in the first month and then 1 per month after that.
Yep.
At the end of the sequence, you can decide, hey, if they haven't opened any of our emails, we can just sort of unsubscribe them from our list, or if they've opened everyone, they can start a new sequence. So there's a lot to do. Like McKenna was mentioning, it can feel a little overwhelming. We usually just say start simple, start with one simple automation for new email signups, just to see how it works. Especially if you have less than 100 emails, you don't want to spend days creating a robust email automation if you only get one new email a month. But if you are getting a lot of customers, it's definitely worth your time.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with the series, you can see there's a few different emails they auto fill in for you. You can add as many as you want, or if you wanted to, you could delete them out, just however many you decide you want to have on there. The trigger is important to note. So the first email is automatically set to send immediately after a subscriber has joined your audience, which I think is appropriate timing. As soon as someone signs up for your list, they just automatically get something in their inbox from you. But as you move on to your next email, it's a little more important to pay attention to. So this trigger is set 1 day, but we can edit that to be, wait 1 week, wait 1 hour if we want to do whatever. You can make it really custom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to probably send it 1 hour after they get the first email. That'd be a lot. And then as far as schedule, so the first one we like to send out immediately after they send it. So if they're signing up for your email list at 9 p.m., it goes out at 9 p.m. and that's great. But the other one a week later, we might edit that to only go out between business hours. So it's not showing up at their inbox at a weird time. So we can set those for more normal hours.
Right.
Yeah, we'd go probably 8 to 5 would be business hours. And then from there, you can just go in and design them all, make your edits for as far out as you want to go.
That's it.
Yeah, pretty simple.
Yeah, and the post-send action is kind of neat. You could, for example, say, okay, after we send this, we want to unsubscribe them from this automation.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different things you can do.
Yeah, we can just unsubscribe them, archive them if they're not relevant anymore.
Yep, and this is where advanced tagging can come into play. So you can update a merge field like purchase behavior equals, whatever it might be, or cold lead here is the example we're using for this client. But that's a really quick look. I think we're at 11:30, McKenna, so we should probably jump into our outro.
Great.
Yeah, so if you have questions about setting up email automations, definitely reach out to us. There's also really good documentation online. We've done a lot of writing about email automations through our Traction Channel guide. Mm-hmm. And maybe we can link that somehow, McKenna, in our
I'll put it in the comments.
Cool. And if anyone has questions, reach out. Thanks, McKenna.
Yeah, thanks.